What is perspective and why do we need it for our 3D modeling? Perspective, it's a very big topic and I won't get too deep into it. Still, we will need to understand the basics if you want to get to 3D modeling in 3ds Max. In the context of drawing and art, we will get to 3D modeling as well soon. Perspective refers to the techniques that we use to create the illusion of depth and three-dimensionality on a two-dimensional surface, such as a canvas or a piece of paper, for example. Perspective, it's a fundamental concept in visual art, and it helps artists represent objects and scene realistically. In a more simple way, we can say that perspective, it's a technique that we use to represent volume when we try to draw it on a paper or on other whatever 2D surface. Of course, it's based on some technical rules, but the main goal is to represent how our human eye perceives volume and depth. We must keep in mind that different animals, depending on how their eyes are constructed, perceive volume around them in different ways. There are several key aspects of perspective in drawing. First of all, we begin by the fact that the objects that are closer to us seem for us bigger. If we will change our point of view, the things will change as well. All our works, all our future works will have points of view, no matter if they are interiors, objects, or whatever. When we establish a point of view, we try to highlight a specific area. For example, if we create interiors, we usually highlight the sofa area, as this is the center of our composition, usually in a living room. We also usually choose the best point of view, as it determines how good our idea was revealed and also impacts how our final render or our final work looks in general. Even if we may or may not understand that we are using perspective when we are doing this, first of all, our work, our render or our interior is projected on a 2D surface, and 3ds Max automatically uses techniques and rules of perspective to represent our 3D interior or 3D object, whatever. These rules are built in 3ds Max. When we are doing this on a paper, we will have to use the rules of perspective to draw this right. Usually, we use two primary types of linear perspective: one-point perspective and two-point perspective. First of all, we have to mention that we have the horizon line. No matter what type of perspective we are using, we can say that this is like the zero level. Imagine that you are standing straight and you look forward, straight forward. If there are no objects in front of you that block your vision to see the horizon, then we can consider that this will be the space that your eyes are capable to see. The objects in front of you seem bigger, but by every step that we increase the distance between our eyes and the objects, until we reach the horizon, the space where our vision ends, the objects appear much smaller and smaller, until we reach a point where they vanish. We call this the vanishing point, one or two vanishing points. We will talk about this. In other words, they get smaller and smaller until they turn into a point, and our eyes are not capable to identify their shapes anymore. This one vanishing point, if we talk about one-point perspective, or two vanishing points, if we talk about two-point perspective, are placed on the horizon line. In a one-point perspective, all lines and objects converge to a single point on the horizon, one vanishing point. This technique is often used for the drawings where the viewer is looking directly at one side of an object or a scene. And two-point perspective, it's used when the viewer is looking at an object or a scene from an angle. In this technique, lines converge to two different vanishing points on the horizon, thus creating the illusion of depth. We also have three-point perspective. It is used when an object or a scene is viewed from a high or a low angle. In addition to two vanishing points on the horizon, there is a third vanishing point above or below the horizon line. We will not get too deep into this. As I said, perspective is a very big topic. We will use only the first two types. They are enough for our 3D modeling in 3ds Max. Understanding and effectively applying perspective in drawing is essential for artists who want to create realistic and visually engaging artwork. It allows to accurately depict the spatial relationships between objects and create a sense of depth and dimension on a flat surface. Artists often study and practice various perspective techniques to enhance their drawing skills and convey depth and realism in their artwork. And now we will get to our second question: why do we need perspective for our 3D modeling? First of all, the question, why do we need it if it's already built in 3ds Max? If we create objects from scratch, from zero, then we will not need it. At least 3ds Max will apply it for us. Let's try to analyze this question using a real example. In this case, it will be more clear. As I said, this course is not only for interior designers, but I find interior design being my main activity, being the easiest and the most practical way to explain theory, as only in practice things become truly understandable. Let's say, for example, we have to model a specific interior. Some of the 3D models we will download and use directly from the library. But usually clients got their own specific additional preferences. We will not be able to find every single object in 3D library. That's why clicking and dragging ready 3D models from the 3D library will not be enough to complete your interior tasks. It's like a beginner level in interior design. You must have the skill to model. If we would break the interior apart like a puzzle, you must be able to recreate and weld all those pieces again into one big piece. That's why when I hear from beginners, how should I start learning 3ds Max? Well, you have to start by modeling simple things.